The whole time I was under, though, I had this nightmare. And I was in a Rubik's Cube-like thing. I flew in through the sides of the Rubik's Cube. And I was in the middle of this game. And I didn't know it was a game at first. At first it looked like a circus. The guy with the top hat came up to me. He's like, "Welcome to my game. If you don't play it, we're going to kill your mom." And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll play it then. And so I played the game, but every single thing was torture. The first game was I was in this huge tank of water. And each game is a side of the Rubik's Cube. I was in a huge tank of water with a scuba diving outfit. And we all had different teams. They were all different colors. And then they let loose sharks. So all these sharks were chasing me, only me. And all the other teams were just like watching me laughing. And then I switched out of that game into a different game where those jumpy, bouncy things, it wasn't like that. There was tubes, and I was in a tube, and the only way to get out of the tube was to eat my own feces. And that was the only way to get out of this game. And I remember in the dream crying and crying and crying. And there was like an interval where I was shopping with my mom and some like Chihuahua dog or something. I don't remember the rest of the games, but I do remember there was some. But the very last thing I remember was there was a target on the wall. And he said, "You better shoot this target. It will be your last thing." I shot the target, and then the target went away, and behind the target was my mom's head. And she was floating around me asking, "Why, Ashley, why?" It was really, really, really freaky. And I woke up on the third floor, and all the nurses were super nice to me. They let me have the staff slushy thingies that they made. Those were really good. I remember I was on a feeding tube. Because of my purity of oxygen that had been on for so long, whenever I went to the bathroom, I would automatically puke from the stench. Whenever anything was around, even if it was a slight gross smell, I would automatically puke. I had to be on a feeding tube for a week or something like that. My chest tubes were still in. This side was a whole hose, which is for really fat, big men. No offense to anybody. But it's not normal for my size. This side was the normal, which was like that small, and the other one was like that big. I still have the scar from it. And I remember looking at them and just like wondering what was coming out of my chest. And the reason they put me under sedation, I forgot to add this earlier, was the fact that my lungs collapsed. The doctor said there's no way my lungs could just collapse the way they did. My left lung, is that left? My left lung was like stuck to the rib cage of my wall. They had to pry it off. It had obviously happened over some time, the way that they had been. When I was off oxygen, I remember feeling my lungs open and close, open and close. I can still feel that sometimes when I cough. Just the whole stickiness, and it's really nasty. They took this chest tube out early, and I remember like it sliding through my ribs. It was really weird feeling. And having to learn to walk again. I was only under 2 weeks, but I had to use a walker because all the like deterioration had happened. This chest tube got taken out the day I got out almost. I think it was the day I got out, or the day before. I can't really remember. And I think the reason they let me out early, because I was supposed to still be in there till the weekend, is because my sisters were coming in. They didn't know I was meeting them at the airport. And I had to be wheeled around in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk for long periods of time. I ran over my sister's foot by those little things at the store. They discharged me the day I died for over 2 minutes because I was too much of a liability to them.
And that was Provo Canyon School. They enrolled you because you were a liability to them?
Yes.
And they said you were faking all of this, and that's why they didn't get you medical attention ahead of time?
Yes, they thought I was faking because on Thursday I felt good. There was another thing I was going to add. Oh yeah, I was supposed to go back to Provo Canyon School. I wasn't due to discharge, and my mom was still going to take me back. But they decided to discharge me and dump all my stuff off at the hospital. And I didn't go through it. My mom did, but I do believe there's some journals missing and stuff. I'm not actually sure. And my friend Ashley, funny, she's got my same name, but I remember that I've talked to her since she's gotten out. I never made achievement because I got recommended for first week. In achievement and everything above that, you have to get recommended for 2 weeks in a row. I got recommended for first week, made first week, got recommended for second week, and then they'd always have an excuse of why I couldn't make it. One time it was because I left a hair tie out, and because I got an IR for that. I was like, are you serious? Like a hair tie? And then this happened for 8 weeks in a row. And at that point, I was just like, I'm not even going to try anymore. I could not make achievement. They held me back every single time I tried to make it. But I've talked to her. She said a lot of things happened. No one knew what happened to me. None of the staff let my team know. We had teams. I was on Team 8. No one knew what was happening, except very select few who didn't bother to let anybody know. But when they did let people know, it was because I was dead, almost.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
There's just a lot of abuse that goes on there. I remember it was my first week there, and I had an eating disorder. And, I mean, I'm pretty sure staff knew I was really skinny, and it's in my medical charts, you know? And I got a couple grapes, which are not fattening at all. But one of the staff there, Corinne, is it okay if I say names?
I don't care.
Okay. Corinne, she decided to comment on how many grapes I got. Which really, I don't know. There was a lot of things that happened, a lot of put-downs. It seemed like from the beginning they targeted certain people, the people who actually wanted to change. I got in there because I wanted to change. And it was really, really difficult.
They purposefully attack people who have a good attitude because they think it's fake, and they want to break you to prove to you that you're a bad person so that they can start attacking the bad person, and then...
It's true. I was nice to everybody. I remember the second or third day I got there, one of the staff who no longer works there, thank God, 18 years or some crazy thing like that, tormenting the kids. Angie was her name. And it was like maybe my third, fourth days, and within my first week. And we had to have our clean rooms. Our bedding could not have a wrinkle in it. It had to have hospital corners. Everything had to be perfect. Pillows fluffed, clothes straightly, neatly, military style folded. They weren't folded right. They were thrown out, and you had to redo them again, plus the infraction. My room was pretty much perfect except for my bedside table, which is like a little thingy. And I remember her opening it and telling me something that needed to be fixed. It was like moving a book or something. And then I had her recheck it, and asked to have my IR. She decided to tell me something else that was wrong within the same bedside table. And she ended up doing this to me again, 3 times in a row, the same day, and decided not to tell me one by one, or all together. She decided to tell me one by one so I would have 3 IRs, which were unfractionable, she said. So I had to go to short term. One of their other punishments is called, what are they called? A chair. And if you listen to the dead Kennedys, who formed at Provo Canyon School, you can listen to one of their songs that's called Dial 9, and it goes, dial 9, dial 9, take a chair, take a chair. A chair is where you pull up a chair to the wall. You sit in perfect chair structure with your feet flat on the ground and your arms folded. You have to sit like that. If you're lucky, they might give you a journal to write.